Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Hello and welcome to the Dork Forest. I'm Jackie Cation. You know the websites, JackieCation.com, DorkForest.com, TheDorkForest.com. If you like a determiner, FamilyPetAncestry.com, which I just renewed because it's funny. Let's do the credits. You just heard the song that Mike Rickberg composed and sang with his wife Sarah Cohen. He will sing his words to the Mexican Hat Dance at the end of the program. Patrick Brady's going to fix this audio, and Vilmos does JackieCation.com, the website. DorkForest.com has available essentially player notes and the YouTube version of the show. You can listen to the show on iTunes and Stitcher and all the things, but you can also listen to it on YouTube or on dorkforest.com. JackieCation.com has all my stand-up comedy information and the merch for Dork Forest. You can get t-shirts, you can get CDs, you can get pins that say Spooky Reading Girl or Meat Shield, but they are not available on the website. You have to email me, Jackie@JackieCation.com. There's also the calendar of my stand-up comedy to find out where I'm playing near you. If I'm not playing near you, talk to your local comedy club and request me. What the heck? There are also videos of my stand-up. You can watch my Conan. You can watch clips from my DVD and links to my other podcasts, The Jackie and Laurie Show on Nerdist, which is just about stand-up comedy. Anyway, there is also a donation button on both JackieCation.com and DorkForest.com. It's a PayPal button. All it is a way to donate to support the show. You can do that by using the Amazon banner, which is just a link to get you to Amazon, which supports the show. You just order like normal. It doesn't cost you extra. And you can use the donation button just to donate. If you don't like PayPal, you can Venmo me, Jackie@JackieCation.com. There is also premium episodes at thedorkforest.bandcamp.com, and those cost $2 a piece because they're live episodes and they cost me some money to put up. So if you've run through all the episodes, you can go to Bandcamp and get like 10 more. What the heck? So much info. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Thanks for supporting the show. Let's get into it. Hey, it's Jackie Cation in my living room. The miscarriage of justice, the fact that Ryan Singer has not been on this program, it just feels weird, man.
Well, I'm very excited to be in the Dork Forest. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is year 13. You're right here in the beginning. It's Halloween weekend when this will come out, right before Halloween, and you will have had an album drop 2 weeks earlier. Because we're taping this a little early, because I'm probably in Cambodia fighting the good fight, trying to recreate. I don't know. I'm trying to help the Cambodians win. Anyway, no, I don't know what I'll be doing. But it's
I was like, wait, this is more than a vacation.
Exactly.
This is like some spy stuff.
Jackie Cation, Jason Bourne. It's RyanSingerComedy.com. Your comedy is a delight. Everyone should find it because you are the smart silly that I have always enjoyed.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
And at RySing on Twitter and Instagram, RYSING. And your album, Free Love, will be free.
Yeah, it is free. So
go
it's
to
free
Amazon.
Right now. Yeah, go to Amazon. Go to my website.
It. Go to your website. Ryan
I even
Singer
got the
Comedy.
I even bought like some domain names like RyanSingersFreeLove.com, FreeLoveDownload.com,
okay,
or RyanSingerComedy.com. They'll all take you to the same place. There'll be a place to download.
They're going to
the
ask
album.
you to re-up that in 2 years.
Yeah, I know.
And you're like,
and
nope.
I'm going to be like, why have I done this to myself? I own
Exactly.
17 domain names for things I never thought.
And you work in a sustain. Yeah, they're done.
I've got WhiteTrashWerewolf.com that goes to my website because I came up with this cartoon show idea that I was like, there's no way this doesn't sell. I better get the domain name now before I even wrote the treatment.
That kind of belief system is fantastic.
Yes.
I have FamilyPetAncestry.com. And it just, if you want to know where your cat came
23 and meow.
Oh, son of a bitch. I am writing that down.
Write that down.
And meow. It's so sad that joke is on a previous album because I would tag that shit up with 23 and meow. Holy hell. Anyway, Ryan Singer.
Have you ever thought of Because I think about that all the time, and comedians talk about that all the time. Like, oh, I got the joke on the album, but it's so much better now.
Right.
Have you ever thought of doing like a redo or like a redux or
a best of
or a director's cut?
My first album, Circus People, and it wasn't my first album. My first album, I burned myself on the computer in 1998. But my first professionally, mastered kind of thing is called Circus People, and then my next album was Bread, and Bread was the best. I mean, essentially, that was my first album. Circus People is fine. There's jokes on there that I'm not completely annoyed with. But I redid several jokes from Circus People and from the 98. I did a lot of the 98 stuff, which is Cake Is Not My Downfall. And
it's a great name.
Thank you. And but it all went on It's Never Gonna Be Bread. The titles just keep getting longer. And This Will Make an Excellent Horcrux. And I Am Not the Hero of the Story are the names of my... But I was thinking pre-gentrification for the next one. What do you think?
Oh.
Get it? It's a pun on my name.
Yeah, no.
I'll be over here. 23 and meow.
I do love that name. I also love the old burned albums, or our first albums ourselves that we saw.
Yeah.
Because when I first, like 16 years ago now is when I first started. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe a year in, I'm like, I need merch. I'm ready for an album. And I was a much different comedian and a much different person.
You were a caricature of a young man.
Yeah,
it sounds like.
Yeah, and I was.
You were
very
not
dark.
The white trash werewolf that I wanted. That we all need.
I was a dark, very anti-religious guy. Like my first album, I think I called it "Your Personal Guide to Suicide." Was the name of the album I had burned.
Big fan of Bill Hicks, were you?
Yeah, big fan.
I'm exhausted.
Lenny Bruce.
Sure. Every sad sack.
I kind of believed that Andrew Dice Clay's album, "The Day the Laughter Died," Part 2. Where it's recorded after Dice Rules, to like a sold out, Madison Square Garden where everyone loves him. The Day the Laughter Died Part 2 is like at the Comedy Store, and there's like maybe 12 people in the original room.
Yeah.
And it ends with him in a confrontation with someone off stage. And you have to turn the volume up all the way to hear the confrontation playing.
Right.
And so I'm like...
And he released that?
Yeah, and he released it. And I'm thinking to myself...
That makes me like him better.
Right?
Yeah.
But at the time, I took that too far.
Right, liking him better.
It like, oh, he is doing such next level satire when he's using all these words that are disparaging.
I think
he's
I like him
shining
better.
A light, and I was like, oh no, I went.
I
too
still
far
don't like him. Yeah. It's he's just still not. And granted, he's not performing for me, so it can't possibly matter if I like him. So, but it does make me like him better that he did Part 2.
Yeah, I don't think there is a Part 1.
Oh, really?
People say there are, but I've never been able to. Oh no, The Day the Laughter Died Part 1.
Oh, okay.
This is The Day the Laughter Died Part 2. I've never been able to find Part 1. Oh. And now I've stopped looking, obviously, years later. But
you have a life to lead.
Yeah, and but yeah, and then I think my next burned album was it was the same vein, The Easy Way to Quit Living. Wasn't it? Because I just read the book, The Easy Way to Stop Smoking.
Congratulations for getting out of your 20s, man.
Oh,
Imagine
man.
Not
what
killing...
a nightmare of a person.
Yeah. The Herald of Harold and without Maude.
Yeah, it's
very sad.
That's when I thought that you couldn't be funny unless you were miserable. And I've done a complete 180 on that. But
that's because it's patently untrue.
Yes.
And because miserable fucks, who wants to hang out with those people?
Oh, they're exhausting.
You're just like, you're mean, you're angry, and you're occasionally funny. It's not enough. It's not enough for me.
It's not even close to being enough. Even then, it's not enough. But I just didn't want to admit it.
Right. Well, it's hard. It's hard to admit that we're wrong and just sort of take responsibility. But the thing is it helps you change and get better. But it's super scary because you're like, well, I wonder what'll happen.
Yeah.
Because you don't know.
Yeah. Because you don't know. And that's not to say that there can't be humor in darkness. Because, we definitely need it.
Oh, my gosh. My greatest fear because I stopped, I was getting drunk all the time, got a couple of DUIs, so I stopped drinking, right? So my greatest fear was that I wouldn't be funny anymore and that I wouldn't get booked. That was actually the greater fear because I wasn't partying with enough people. And guess what? None of that happened. It turns out if you wake up without a hangover, you can get probably 1 more hour of work done a day because you're still tired and you're still a comic.
And I had that same fear when I was younger, and I kind of decided, I was like, I'm never going to be able to do the road if I have a DUI. Mm-hmm. Right? This is like almost more, my driver's license is almost more important than my notebook.
Right.
And to be a comic.
Yeah.
And so I stopped drinking at shows. And I wouldn't even really have a beer. Because I remember one night, it was like my birthday, I ran a really bad bar show that was like an open mic in my hometown with a friend of mine. It was my birthday.
What is your hometown?
Dayton, Ohio.
Thank you.
And everybody there who worked there and my buddy who ran it kept lining up shots on stage. And I remember I just kept doing the shots, right?
Oh, my God.
So I don't remember the night.
Right.
The next day I woke up on my buddy's couch and he goes, "You've never been funnier."
Oh, fuck you.
And I was like, "Thank you for telling me that. And I'm never drinking again before I go on stage." I mean,
don't believe
I'm
you.
never being like that anyway.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, occasionally on a late show, I'll have a beer or something. You know,
well, you know, it's a big thing on those one-nighters to get the comic drunk. You know, I mean, when I did the road like that, which would have been from like 93 to 2003, there was always, you know, people. Matter of fact, I was in Northridge. Somebody was like, "I want to buy you a shot. I want to buy you a shot. We're going to do tequila." And I was like, "Nope, I will watch you drink that and you knock yourself out, young man. But I'm 100 and I don't want your crazy ass shot of tequila." And
this isn't like the only night of my life that I can be away or out of the house. I'm at work, actually.
I'm actually at work. I'm not going to grab anyone's ass, and I'm not going to get hammered.
Night out, man.
Yeah. This is not. I know you think that comedy is different for jobs, but I'm not going to show you my vagina, and I'm not going to get hammered.
I mean, we've all had that happen to us, like where people will like send up a shot unannounced.
Yeah.
I mean, the great trick is that I didn't learn until later was that you just give the heads up to the bar staff. If somebody wants to send up a shot, put Coca-Cola in there, and and we can act like
water.
It. Yeah, or water. And then after that, I realized I don't have to pretend for these people. What am I doing?
Right,
these
you wouldn't
animals.
pretend to do material you wouldn't do for those animals. I mean, sure, corporate. Anyway, no, but the money's better. Not for $200.
No, not for $200.
And I'm staying at a Super 8.
Not for $200 and a door to the outside world.
Exactly.
From my hotel room. You give me a hallway, and then maybe I'll do your shot.
Ryan Singer, comedy is a delight, but I want to talk. I don't know. I mean, it's right before Halloween, so there's part of me that wants to get into the paranormal with you. Because I know
we can go.
You and Rontowski crack me up with the power of the sun. First of all, have you seen her Instagram?
I love her Instagram. Her
Instagram
Paranormal Karen is great. Her videos
hilarious. They're not long. They're usually like weird commentary on wherever it's almost like my hotel art, right? Where she comments on where she is, but there's also ghost talk.
Yeah.
And so, do you have anything like that?
I do. I mean, I have the paranormal podcast.
You have a paranormal podcast.
But other than that, I do like Karen and I actually go on paranormal investigations together.
Dun, dun, dun.
So we have a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah. What's
the most recent one we went to the
Yeah.
abandoned LA Zoo. We went there.
Oh, yeah.
And there happened to be Shakespeare in the park, so it wasn't a good night to be there.
Yorick, is that you? Yorick.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it like ruined our investigation, but I was also really happy that there were hundreds of people there to watch Shakespeare in the park.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't know there was Shakespeare in the park in Los Angeles.
What? People still go see Shakespeare in the park. Like,
I want to go see
dead. I want to
go see Shakespeare in the park. I didn't know that there was. And granted, Los Angeles is huge.
There's
everything
things,
of everything. What am I looking for? It's available.
Yeah.
Right. My ad. I'm about to do an ad. All right, Rangers. This one is another ad for Project Woo Woo, the podcast. Lisa Orkin's a comic out of New York, and it's she interviews all the people that she's always wanted to talk to, but she doesn't know Jesus or Timothy Leary. So she has her comedian friends portray them, and then she gets to ask the questions. So it's a great new podcast called Project Woo Woo. It's like Andy Kaufman meets Oprah. Lisa has her hilarious comedian friends play her favorite people in self-help, spirituality, and famous writers and philosophers. It's weird, entertaining, you learn stuff, Plus, Lisa Orkin is a very real, wacky, and vulnerable performer. So go to projectwoowoo.com and listen, subscribe. It sounds amazing. Or grab the link in my show notes. Yeah, projectwoowoo.com. Go listen and subscribe. Let's get back into the show.
Yeah, I think the best part about like the paranormal stuff is, I mean, I've got these hidden characters on YouTube that I've created that are paranormal based ish.
Sort of like YouTube accounts that
they're
are
YouTube
paranormal.
accounts that I've created that I don't tell people exactly who they are to find them. I just want people to stumble upon them, maybe who have no idea who I am, because you can't really tell it's me.
Right.
Because they look, both of them look different than me, and both of them look different from each other.
Okay.
And it's like a feud between a guy who does black magic and a guy who does guided meditations. And so, like, I don't know. A friend of mine told me, he's like, this is a synopsis of your career. You spend all this time and energy making something, and you
then hide
refuse
it.
to tell people about it.
Right, where can I hide this thing? It's so now, if people did want to go to it, do they have to just like start going down a rabbit hole of paranormal nonsense on the internet,
I think
or will
if
you tell them?
Well,
right
there
now?
is a
nobody listens to this show. You're safe.
Well, there's a very popular guy who teaches black magic on YouTube. His name is EA, like the initials EA, Coetting, like Koetting. If you go watch a couple of his videos, this one guy, because a guy from like Jash told me how to like back-end hack tags and stuff.
What is Jash and what is back-end
Jash
tag?
is that YouTube network.
Okay.
That was started by like... who is it? Like
YouTube?
Sarah Silverman and I think like Michael Cera and Tim and Eric.
Oh, I should
They
know
do like
who this
branded.
is.
They do like branded content. It's
I
like
know
all
it.
yeah.
Okay.
So they're out in Culver City. Anyway, so they let me use their green screen studio to film the stuff. So the one a guy over there told me, he's like, you need to download this software. It's free. It'll teach you all, so you can go to this guy's page. You can see all like the tags and everything he uses for his videos.
Okay.
And you can use them for your videos, and it'll show up as suggested next.
Okay.
Right. And I was like,
By the way, that's the greatest. That's just good business advice.
Yeah. And I was like, and I never think of business.
No, that has been made clear.
Yeah. So I do. So I think if you go watch EA Coetting, you might find this guy. His name is very similar. And I grew up in a suburb of Dayton, Ohio called Kettering.
Okay.
So
EA Kettering. Entertainment Arts Kettering.
So it's like it's very similar to EA Coetting is something Kettering.
Okay, fair enough. So go look for it, you guys, and then watch the feud.
And the
between
guided
black
meditation
magic.
stuff is really fun to do too, like to make the music and to just kind of really play with that, because a lot of those guided, I'll go down like YouTube guided meditation rabbit holes because I love that. I do like genuinely love it.
Right.
I listen to a lot of like chakra alignment meditation music when I'm before bed and stuff.
There's things we like that you can't fight it. Like so, is it mostly just sort of plink 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 of a guitar? What's guided meditation music?
It's kind of it sounds like magic. It's like very whooshy. And
there's
synthy.
Okay.
Like that kind of stuff.
Is there
and
a
then
wind
every once in a while
chime
you'll hear some chimes every once in a while, and then you'll hear like a a sound bowl, like like almost like a pleasant didgeridoo. Like if a didgeridoo like actually went to college, or like,
so it does sound very pleasant and soothing.
yeah, it's very soothing, very relaxing. But the guided meditation ones where they have people actually talking, those are great. Because there's this guy, oh gosh, I haven't listened to him in a minute, but he's a money manifestation guy.
Oh, we would like to manifest some money in your life?
So if you want to manifest money, you listen to this guy, and part of it's like... at the heart of it, there's some good messages.
Right.
Like, I love people, I use money.
Right.
I don't use people and love money.
Right.
I love people. I use money. So it's that.
Money is a tool.
Money is a tool.
Right.
And I am in my abundance, I will help everyone around me. It's like, that's part of it, but another huge part of it is like just him in the background, and I won't do it directly in the mic, because it's like, they've got all the technology figured out to where it sounds like they're walking in circles around you.
Okay.
And there's layers of things. So there's his same voice saying multiple things at the same time.
Okay.
One's in left ear, one's in right. You have to have headphones on.
Headphones.
And so you'll be here like, I love people. I use money. And then in the background, in your right ear, in the distance, you'll hear, why don't you want money? What's wrong with you? Open up to money, man. Like almost cursing at you.
Weird.
Just get over it.
Yeah.
Accept money.
Yeah.
I'm the universe. Accept my money.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You are a person of light and a being of endless, infinite stardust. Why don't you want this money, you idiot?
This is a dorkdom. This is some rabbit hole dorkdom, man.
It's some really great stuff.
This is some really great stuff. So the paranormal podcast that you have, do you interview people who are like ghost hunters and psychics and mediums and such
all
like that?
Like anybody who has like intuition to like a degree that they've tapped into it, or they grew up in a haunted house.
Right. What do you think of Halloween?
I love Halloween.
Do you love Halloween?
I do love Halloween. I've never been a person who leaned into the costume aspect of it. Like, I do love getting dressed up in a costume.
Sure.
Usually it seems like the last 10 years I've always been like just working.
Oh, okay.
And so I've never...
Are you working this year?
This year, no. I'm
Okay.
not. At least I don't think I am.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out. I think I'm going to do like old school good werewolf this year.
Oh, there you go.
Just so I can like
go to a
wear
graveyard.
some cut off jeans.
Right. You could. Don't get mistaken for the Hulk, man. Don't do it. Don't wear purple.
I don't think I don't think I'm. My body frame is going to be.
It's going to Hulk out. Anyone's going to.
But like, I do love the idea of almost like becoming another thing for the night too. I'm into therianthropy, which is like werewolf. Is like people identify as therians. Like there's these.
That sounds like that instrument that you wave at and it makes a noise.
Oh, that's a theremin.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is when. I think I'm saying it correctly. There's, and some people are going to say this whole thing has gone too far, right? Some people might say that, like
sure.
Some of these, Anyway, they don't have their mind as open.
Okay.
But therians are people who identify as animals.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and so when I say some people's going to say it's like, like this whole transgender thing's gone too far. Now people are identifying as dogs. It's
right.
like, no, this has been around for a while.
Right.
Where there are like kids. There's a whole community online.
Who identify as people as animals. They're people who identify as like, I'm actually a lion.
Yeah, well, yeah, that they have the spirit or the soul of a lion is now in a human body.
Okay, so they know that they're people.
Yes, they know that they're people.
Okay, just
but
checking.
They identify with.
Yes.
With like a lot of them are wolves, and like you'll see a bunch of kids. If you ever see kids, and it's not all these kids, but if you see like teenagers walking around the mall or wherever with like clip-on tails, these cute little clip-on tails
right.
that become popular.
I thought that was like furries and stuff like that.
Well, I don't think. I mean, a furry is someone who puts a whole costume on, right?
Right.
And a furvert, which I've been told, is a very 2 to 3% of all furries are furverts
who like to have sex when they're in the costume.
Yeah. So furries get mad when you think they're all just
a bunch of perverts.
Perverts, yeah.
Because they're not. And even the perverts aren't perverts because they're perverts.
They're perverts.
I'm with them. I get it.
So therians are these kids online, and it's really
and they
cute,
wear tails.
And it's really touching if you like, because I've gone down these rabbit holes for the podcast, and they found this community where they can relate to another kid, and they develop these relationships, and so they'll just be like a couple kids like who date each other, who both think that one thinks they're a wolf, one thinks they're an owl or an eagle maybe, and they're hanging out in a tree, and one has a tail clipped on, and it's like they found each other somehow in the modern world, which is
I hope it doesn't manifest itself in like predator and prey business.
No, I don't think it does.
Yeah, that's
that is a dangerous aspect of like, I'm a wolf.
Weird.
I need to have.
I need to start biting people and kill.
Yeah.
Please don't.
There are people who think, that they're legitimately vampires, though.
I know it. There's a lot of escapism, and it's not for me to say that as long as you aren't hurting anybody, I say live it up. I've always said such a thing. I don't necessarily I don't know what to do with that. But maybe I don't have to. Maybe it's got nothing to do with me.
I don't think any of us know what to do. I mean, my question has always been, how do you even know that that's what you think you are?
Right. Was it ayahuasca? Did a dragon talk to you? What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. From what I've been told, they're not going around trying to like bite people. They have, some of them they'll find people who like want to donate their blood to a vampire. And so the person will just drink it out of a cup kind of thing. And you can only drink so much, very little amounts.
Right. I would imagine it would make you ill.
And the person has to be on, and the person who wants to be the donor, they have to like go on like strict diets, to make sure that the blood isn't bad. I don't know. You can't really drink human blood. From the research I've done, like you can't really drink human blood.
No, I bet you not. I've done no research. Gonna figure you're not supposed to.
Yeah, but these people claim.
I mean, the Donner Party. Yeah. But I think it was well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when your body needs something or anything, then I think that's a little bit different. But the idea that they feel better when they have a little bit of it is, I think, what really resonates with them. Like I don't know how they're like, maybe I should try this, or I don't know how the first time you drink human blood to thinking it might.
I don't know
help
where
you.
that comes from.
I don't know where it comes from either.
Okay,
but then the
just
idea,
checking.
Yeah, the
Curious.
idea is that they feel.
But there's a lot of different
better.
Right. But there's a lot of different things like that. There's like any number of people believe that the world is flat. And you're like, have you been around the world? And there's no convincing them. Have you talked to any of them?
I have talked to people that are close.
What does that mean?
Well, there's the best video I've ever seen on the internet.
Yes.
To argue for flat Earth.
We're going to say
is this.
That your dorkdom is YouTube.
Yeah. Like, this is the best video I've ever seen, and I can't find it again.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to recreate it.
Oh, that's a classic. Yep.
This guy is on his driveway, and I want to guess that he came from this video. He probably lived like where I grew up in Southern Ohio. He was kind of a hillbilly. Sleeveless T-shirt, shorts on, flip-flops, in his driveway with a hat, drinking a beer. And then the video is really short, and he goes, "Oh, the flat Earth, hold my beer." And he picks up a soccer ball that's on like the floor of the garage.
Yeah.
And it's got a dent in it. He's like, "This is the Earth. Give me my beer." And then he takes his beer, pours his beer into the dent in the soccer ball. He goes,
"Right.
That's the ocean. So that's the ocean in the Earth. Watch what happens." And he moves the Earth up like he's rotating it. And then the ocean falls out. He goes, "Earth's flat." And that's the end of the video. So his argument is that gravity doesn't exist. Like the ocean would spill off of the globe if the Earth wasn't flat. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because he's just like, "Earth's flat." Like, it was so clear to him.
Right. Yeah, that's a failure of public education right there.
I can't get into the flat Earth one.
No. It's I don't know what to do with that. I mean, again, much like the vampires and the people with the tails and think that they're deer or whatever. You do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt anybody. I mean, if you and your friends all want to, have a turkey dinner and talk about how the Earth is flat on Thanksgiving Day, you knock yourself out. But
you don't start rounding people up who don't think.
Right.
Yeah,
and
no pun intended, I guess, there. No rounding them up.
Oh, right. You've been rounding them up. Like my oldest brother, when Harry Potter came out, he was like, "I will not let my children read that because magic is real." And I was like, "I thought you were Christians. Magic isn't real if you're..." And he's like, "It is evil and real." And I was like, I'm done talking to you about this. And because I don't know what to do with that. And all of his children have, literally, they homeschooled him. And so they have been reeling for decades trying to get an education and to figure out their lives from being essentially hit with a shovel for 11 years.
Trying to catch up to the rest of everybody.
Yeah. So, like, my oldest niece is pushing 40, and she's got a degree in biology, but, realized she didn't want to go into science. She just wanted an education. And
so she's just always in school. Like,
well, no, she's runs a catering business, and so she has a real job. But she's like, no, I need to get some information from a scientist, not from an evangelist. Is that okay, Dad? And
I got this new studio apartment. It's the closet of a library.
I'm gonna live in it and read some shit. So I mean, it's. I think that he did his children a disservice, is what I'm saying. Is like, and he thinks that he's been a pretty good dad. And I mean, if you count food and clothing and shelter, sure, raise the bar is what I've always said to him. You know, if that's going to be on your gravestone, well, they didn't starve to death.
Yeah, and it's funny to me too, just like the history of all of that, like magic being framed as evil and being framed as dark, and you know, and then like witches, and I think it was the the Renaissance, or just all this is bad because we've got the good stuff, and so taking whether it's religion or magic, because magic was around long before. And Christianity and all that other stuff.
Right, and the purveyors of it were mostly like old wives, who were like, all right, I'll do it. And they, and so this is completely without any basis in fact, but I think that as more people the civilization moved forward and there was more sitting around. And so guys got to learn the things that the old wives knew. They were like, oh, so it's just that? And I'm sure the old wives, some of them were abusing their power. And so the dudes were like, well, we're going to take that power back. And you're an asshole, and we're going to burn you alive. And so, of course, then the coin flipped.
Yeah, it's like, don't be more powerful.
Speculative
Don't be
fiction.
more powerful than us. And I think that's why you see a reemergence of, I mean, you see a reemergence of a lot of witches right now. And I think it's awesome, because it's like with the rise of the matriarchy comes this. And with magic, and I've talked to a lot of women who identify as Wiccan or pagan and into magic.
Yes. Now, on those, I have been a crystal clutcher myself since easily the late, I'd go middle 80s. And so it's not like, so I've hung out with, like, there was a woman, a great friend of mine from an old job who collected rocks. And I used to say, Sally Ann Farrar. It was pre-podcast. I was like, you should have a radio show called Hello and Welcome to Rock Talk. I have rocks that she gave me.
Oh, that looks like a nice rose quartz right there.
I got a rose quartz. I got an amethyst. And then I've got that, I think it's hematite. I don't know
the silvery, shimmery, dark one.
Right,
yeah,
that one.
Yeah.
She gave me that.
Oh, that's
She said
awesome.
it was a success rock.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I'm wearing some tiger's eye right now.
What does it look like? Does it look like a tiger's eye?
It's like that brownish gold swirled into. Here, let me take it off so you can better see. But it's in a friend of mine made that for me in Pittsburgh. That's the cool thing about like having, the podcast nowadays. I mean, as you know, like you show up somewhere and somebody's got something for you.
Yeah, they got a trinket.
Yeah,
they made you.
Like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah,
so
that is really cool.
It's hard to keep track of.
What's tiger eye supposed to be for?
Exactly. That's what I was going to... It's like hard for me to keep track of like all the different things for stones. But this is supposed to be... I think it's supposed to help ground me.
Okay.
And then also it helps bring the spirit realm to the physical realm.
Okay.
Like make that connection.
Right.
I believe. And for me, a lot of them are they're good reminders to be thoughtful. Like I like to wear carnelian, which is like a pretty orangey stone when I'm like doing shows, because it's supposed to help for performance.
Okay.
And for me, it's just a good reminder, like be present and be aware that you're lucky to be doing this.
Oh yeah.
So like really like kind of enjoy the performance.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
So I love all that stuff. But like there's for me, there's a connection too between like people who really practice witchcraft and like art, and like a lot of young women, I feel like when they were younger, even like as young girls and things, from all the women I've talked to, the one common thread I've noticed, it's like this empowerment. There's a sense of empowerment and taking control over the environment, because that's, I think, what magic is, and that's what prayer and yoga and all this stuff is. It's like, how can I affect the elements around me to help my favor?
Oh, interesting.
That's what we're all trying to do with everything we do. We're like, how can I
do believe that, but I think, like, because the thing that I practice is more of a surrender, where I have to let go of trying to control things, because I am very controlling. I don't know if you could tell from where you're sitting. I think everyone can tell from where they're sitting that I am a bit of a fucking busybody. I got a nose problem, it turns out. I'm on the canal. I'm on the Eiffel Tower. I'm looking in your business. What am I, the police? Anyway, so I got all kinds of issues. So I spend a good portion of my time in prayer and meditation trying to let go of the idea that I can control anything and sort of let the universe be.
Like, well, that's the interesting thing about all of this stuff.
Yeah.
For me, is that it's all about intention. And to me, all this magic, all this stuff comes back to meditation.
Okay.
To some degree. So I think, and then where does meditation or prayer, where does that ultimately lead? To surrender, I think, kind of. Like what you're talking about. I mean, if you really go deep enough into it.
Because I don't know how, I mean, for me, like the magical thing that I believe in, hello, Rangers, and I might have alluded to it on one of the previous million episodes, but is that I think that literature, incredibly well written literature, is a person seeing into another world, like literally a time-space rift. There's no way Tolkien was that good. There's no way. The greatest storytellers of all time, they somehow saw a parallel universe and they wrote the tale. That's my theory. And I actually, and there's distortions and there's better versions and not better versions. I don't know if you ever read, there's a very sweet, pretty lightly written, so not an amazing piece of literature, but it's called The Dragon Riders of Pern. And it's like young adult, but it was written in the late 60s, early 70s. And she wrote forever until she died. And too long, quite honestly. Publishers were like, what happened next? And she's like, people died of old age. How about that? And which is my greatest annoyance with literature, with series, when publishers are like, well, just write another one about that guy. She's like, well, he's 87 years old. Guess what's going to happen to him? Well, he's going to die. Anyway, but that's the sort of the magic. But, and this is not to deny anybody who believes in magic, but if magic were real and you could affect the reality around you, you would do it, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. First of all, I want to say that it's interesting to think about the writer almost being some kind of deity to that other world.
Oh, right. Sort of a Lilliputian kind of...
Yeah, because if you can look into this other world and capture their story, and now you've got their history or whatever, it's almost like you have delivered the Bible to a different dimension. That
is exactly what I think you've done.
Yeah.
That is genuinely... I'm on board.
That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I I used to babysit for this kid, and now she's probably 30. Anyway, but and when she turned 11, was inconsolable she didn't get a letter from Hogwarts. Even though her parents loved her, she wasn't kept in a shack, and there was no reason. But she was like, I thought for sure I was a witch. I thought for sure I was going to go to Hogwarts, and she was inconsolable. And so that's when that's the first time I thought of that idea, which is and it resonated with me. I was like, well, I think I've clearly believed this my entire life. As I tried to explain to her, she was like, do you believe in magic? And I said, this is what I believe. I believe that there is a way to see into other worlds and other realms, and our minds are bigger than you can imagine. And the people who write stories, like J.K. Rowling wrote that story, that was her having a glimpse into another world. And I wish she would stop looking, because she keeps retconning things. She's like, no, Dumbledore's gay. Oh, I don't know if you know this. Nagini's a person. And you're like, no, book's done. Book's done.
Yeah.
Write another book. You're good. And so it's...
It's the problem too of like whenever you write something and you put it out, and I think Wilco's it's a line in that one Wilco song. Now it's the world's.
Yeah.
And you can't control how they're going to interpret it or use it.
Yeah.
It's no longer, and you can, like you said, you can go back and try to change and like say, no, this is the thing. But then I remember in a creative writing class in college, I wrote something that I thought was this is how long ago it was. It was the story was a guy who put his soul for sale in the classified ads.
Okay.
So this is before like Craigslist and all that shit.
Yeah.
And
you could update it.
And I probably could. But the only two people who showed up to the auction for his soul at his apartment were the devil, clearly the devil, not disguising himself, and a teenage kid with like a skateboarder.
Okay.
Who was like 16 years old. And so the guy opens the auction. He goes, okay, now we'll start the auction for my soul. And the devil immediately bids a penny over what the kid had on him.
Yeah.
Right? And the kid's like, man, this is not fair. He's like, I'm the devil. What do you... You think I'm going to... What, you don't think I know what the minimum of what I have to do?
Yeah.
So anyway, the devil gets his soul, and it turns out that the guy... thinks now he just has to sit back and he gets whatever he wants, and so then
that wasn't part of the deal.
That's not part of the deal, and so he contacts the devil and he's like, "Wait, I thought I'm supposed to have all this stuff," and he said, "Listen, I have a reputation to keep. You can't just give me your soul and you get everything. You at least have to look like you're trying."
Right.
So if you would have just got off your couch in the last 6 hours and opened your door, and the guy goes, "What?" And he goes, "Open your door." And he opens the door, and there's like a beautiful woman there.
Right.
And he goes, "Oh," and she goes, "I've been out here for 6 hours. What have you been doing in there?" And he's like,
God.
"Oh, I see how this works.
Yeah,
I have to at least try." Like the devil doesn't do everything.
So that was the point of. That's a great story.
And so. And then the kid comes back later because he acts like he lost his keys in the couch cushions or something. And so it turns out the kid is probably God. Who knows? But anyway, all these people in class are like, "Oh, this means that when you wrote this and blah blah blah, the blah 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 blah." And I was just
an
like,
analogy for World War II.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't have any of this like planned," but people were interpreting it in ways that I didn't, and ascribing all this like grand meaning to like metaphor, like imagery and stuff that I had no idea was happening.
Right.
And so it's like it's gone now.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's out. It's in the world now.
Yeah, it's in the world, and people are going to be able to do whatever they want with it, and you just have to be okay with that, I guess.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's that's the way of it.
But I do believe that if you think magic is real, you would do it. And when it works, you don't stop doing it, I don't think.
No. And it's sort of like, there's any number of things that once they work, you could attribute them to magic.
Well, I'll tell you, the most recent time I did magic.
Yes.
Was 2 weekends ago.
Okay.
Or not even 2 full weeks ago. It was a full moon. I was in Santa Cruz.
Right.
Lost Boys style.
Okay.
I was doing like a short film for a friend of mine up there. And I was in a hotel, and another friend of mine had texted me, "Oh, this is your full moon. Like, you're a Cancer. This is a full moon. It's in Aquarius. Like, this is like the full moon for you to really manifest something or to really make something happen.
Live it up."
And this friend of mine, she knew like something I'd been dealing with that had been like, in my life that, she knew something that I was really trying to do.
Right.
And she goes, "This is the time for you to do it."
Okay.
And she lays out some steps for me.
Okay.
Basically a magical ceremony to do in my hotel room.
Okay.
And I do it.
Yeah.
And basically at the heart of it is it's just a major meditation of intention.
Right.
Putting something into the universe. So I do it, and I'll tell you what, it's been great.
It has worked out.
I mean, so far, so awesome.
Okay.
I mean, it's like I feel, not only do I feel like it worked, I feel amazing about it.
Right.
Like I no longer... Because I love the sigil-based magic stuff that like a lot of people will, in chaos
sigil?
magic.
Okay.
A sigil basically is... And I'm not like a witch expert and all this kind of stuff.
No.
the basic nuts and bolts of it are a sigil is a magic-y looking symbol.
Okay.
That you write. So, like, say you write a sentence down on something you want. Like, I want more road work than ever before. And then I'll get rid of all of the vowels. Right. I'll cross them all out. And then I'll cross out all the extra, or the repeating consonants.
Okay.
And then I'll take all the remaining letters, and then I'll reconfigure them into a symbol. Mm-hmm. So you can't tell what the sentence originally was.
Okay.
And then I'll write all that symbol. I'll break that symbol down, simplify it, and now it kind of looks like this weird magic-y symbol.
Okay.
Right. That sentence, I want more road work than ever before.
Okay.
And so then I have that sigil.
Okay.
And now I meditate.
Okay.
On that sigil. And there's different ways to do it. Some people just do meditation. Some people use like sex magic for it.
Wait a minute.
Because you can't be thinking of anything when you have an orgasm.
Oh, okay.
So if you're staring at the sigil when you have an orgasm, it's like the meaning of that sigil is burned into your subconscious. Now you no longer have to obsess about it.
Because you don't...
the universe will give it to you.
You don't think about it. You just... Like when you're meditating on that sigil or on that idea, you're not thinking of the idea. You're not thinking of anything. You're trying to clear your mind. Is that meditation?
You're just focusing on that thing, that want.
You're focusing on the thing that you do indeed you would like.
Yeah.
And then, but you're spending all of your energy and all of your time, and you're thinking sort of good thoughts about that,
yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Which I think there's this book where, I mean, the thing is if you spend a half an hour or 5 minutes, I don't know how long you could meditate. I mean, people can meditate for hours. I've never been able to meditate for more than 5 minutes. I'm not good at it, but it's a learned skill. I would have to practice. I get that. I get it. And so, but
the music stuff helps me.
Yeah,
like the YouTube meditation video music, that really helps me.
Oh, good.
But yeah,
and then but to think, because I think thinking sort of positive thoughts is a good experience anyway, because like and I've told this, I had Steve Young on, and Steve Young has an Instagram where he does the Studio City life coach, and it's essentially just a mockery of life coachery, except for that he also believes, I mean, that's what I love about people who like paranormal and who like self-help and who like all these different things, is that they're like, no, I know, go for it, make fun of it, but if it helps me, what do you care? And I read, it's the Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, right? And one of the tasks in it is to do an affirmation 400 times a day in your mind. You don't have to write it. There's writing things as well. But the one in your mind is, I love and approve of myself. And if you say it 400 times a day. Now, and you do it for a month, for 30 days. 400 times a day, I love and approve of myself for 30 days. What it did, because I did it for a month one time, is that it makes me aware when I'm saying exactly the opposite. And that awareness makes me whack-a-mole that. And so there's less time, because all of that negative thought, all of that beating yourself up, all of that self-deprecating stuff, it isn't even conversation. Right? I mean, if I said to you, well, I'm fat and I don't like myself, you'd be like, okay, I'm sorry.
Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? Right? It's like, am I fishing for you to say, no, you're not, you're great? Or am I is it a cry for help, 5150 me, before I go kill myself? Or is it just a complete and utter buzzkill?
Yeah.
You're just like, don't do that to yourself, is what you want to say to people. My ad. I'm about to do an ad. It's the FabFitFun box, you guys. Sign up for FabFitFun today to get your fall box. The FabFitFun fall box is in limited supply. These boxes always sell out. Use my code DORK to get $10 off your first box. Go to fabfitfun.com to sign up and start getting the box for a life well lived. Use promo code DORK to get $10 off your first box. It's over $200 worth of stuff for $39.99. And I'm in the middle of my great unboxing. My box, this time, excitingly, has a ceramic and stainless steel teapot. And since I've recently committed to drinking tea like a lady, I'm going to wrestle this teapot open. It's very exciting. Anyway, there's a Luna bar. All right, I'll eat a Luna bar. Salted caramel nut. Anyway, so you guys, Sign up for FabFitFun today and get your fall box. Not a lot of people live by a code. Live by the code DORK and get $10 off your first box. Let's get back into the show.
We say things to ourselves that we wouldn't say to our worst enemies.
Our worst enemies.
And it's got to change. And I don't really know why it happens. I don't know
I don't think it's... I don't know if it's nature or nurture, but it feels nature. It feels like you could have the nicest parents in the world. You could be the best looking human on the planet, and you're still beating yourself up about something. And so I don't know.
I think some of it, and I don't want to go too socialist here, but I think part of it is it's the system we're inside of. And I think the system that we've built for ourselves is so flawed on such a fundamental level.
But I don't think the Swedish feel better about themselves, do they?
Well, is it the Danes who have the highest self-esteem?
Well, something I have meditated on, which is, and not for years, of course, is my little mantra is, if you would like self-esteem, do esteemable acts.
Yeah.
And so and that's how I've tried to live my life. If I want to feel better about myself, help somebody else, because that will make me feel better about myself.
Yeah, who do we admire? Who do we look up to?
Right.
It's because they're doing stuff like, oh, you know what? They're doing good stuff. Or, they're a great person.
Right.
And so, be that person, I guess.
Yeah. Or try. Or be the best person you are.
Yeah.
And, it's such a weird... everything is simple, but nothing is easy. It's enormously irritating.
That's the worst part. It's like, oh man, sometimes I just don't know how I'm going to get out of bed.
Right.
It's well, it's very simple. You move the covers down and you put your feet on the floor.
Right. You're or I don't.
Yeah.
But I don't want to because it's getting cold and I want to just cuddle under the covers and not go anywhere and just sleep it out. And I'm like, thank God I have to pee. Right?
Yeah.
Get up.
Yeah, right? Or that I'm starving.
Right. I'm super hungry. Gotta get up.
It does kind of it really fast. I'm like a creature of the night. I don't feel alive until it's night. I'm trying to change that.
Right.
The older I get, just so I feel, because I do think it affects my overall mood if I've been up. Yesterday I was up at 8.
Okay.
And then hiked early in the morning. And
nice.
Then 4 o'clock rolls around and I'm like, well, isn't it midnight?
Right. Well, the
I've
great
been
thing
up forever.
The great thing about the road is that there's the 3 to 5 p.m. nap.
Yes.
The 3 to 5 p.m. nap there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's beautiful.
But if you did a 1 to 2 p.m. nap, which is what Andy Ashcraft's dad did forever, for 40 years, at 1 p.m. he was like, see you guys in an hour. And he just would go lie down, fully clothed, on top of the covers, take a nap for 45 minutes to an hour.
I love the fully clothed on top of the covers move.
Take his shoes off, of course, but you just lie down. Then an hour later, he's like, what do you guys want to do? Want to get stoned? And his dad was a guy that got up at 6, took the dogs for a walk, did the chores around the place, and he trained bird dogs for field trials from horseback, which sounds like a job that you've made up.
It feels like that you just gave me an ad-libs that you filled it. Bird dogs on field trips
field trials.
Field trials from horseback.
I've had to practice saying it. Essentially, he trains bird dogs to point, right? To point at birds and other things. He trains pointers. He trains them for field trials, which is sort of the show dog kind of thing. And then he does it from horseback so that he can send them a half a mile ahead. And he could just use hand signals, I guess. And that's what he did for the last 20 years of his life. And he loved it with the power of the sun. But that was and then he would stay up until 8 or 10, go to sleep at 10, get up at 6, walk the dogs, do it again. Do it again. And he lived adjacent to it. He would drink several beers a day. He would smoke some pot. But he would get his work done. And it felt like a guy who lived his life on his own terms, wasn't hurting anybody, wasn't doing anything but what he wanted to do.
Figured out his groove.
Yeah. It was a groove that He didn't need, and I don't mean to go fascist on you, but like he didn't live off the tit of the government, right? I mean, he didn't need anybody's help. He made a living, and he lived his life, and he had a perfectly good life. It's a little harsh the way I put it. Anyway, but I did mention fascism, didn't I? Anyway.
It is interesting because like being able to find your grooves, I think that's like the key to, finding some kind of stability in your own life.
Yeah.
And for me, like the paranormal really kind of, because I was thinking about this yesterday. I've always heard the phrase like, sometimes things just pick you. And I think there is some truth to that, like when it comes to like something that you really love. But also, you have to give it a chance. Yeah. Like something can pick you, and you can be totally shut off to it. And
open the door.
Open the door. Yeah, and for me, the paranormal, I can't stop like reading books. Like I'm reading a book right now called PK Man. It's about the study of this guy named Ted Owens, by a guy named Jeffrey Mishlove, who used to have a great public access TV show where he interviewed people like Terrence McKenna. It was a very free-thinking kind of public access show. And he also like interviewed Michael Talbot, who was a guy who wrote the Holographic Universe book years ago. Anyway, like some like far-out ideas.
Okay.
And so I'm reading this now, and like if, in fact, this Ted Owens guy who's no longer alive was being honest about what he claimed he could do, and they tried to scientifically study him, it's bonkers that
what
he
can
create. He said he was going to end the drought in California, and this was like in the 70s. And then next, there's a snowstorm in San Francisco, right? But there's also these crazy moral implications because I haven't gotten that far into the book yet, but like in the introduction, a guy was doing a summary of some of the things. Like he made a plane crash. So there's people who are dead because of his psychokinetic abilities.
Right.
And he said he communicated with space intelligences, these aliens, essentially. He would give them the message through like meditation techniques, and they would do what he asked to show.
Right, and that does feel bonkers. All of that feels
bonkers.
Like...
And then, but the book I read right before that is called The Day After Roswell, written by this guy, Lieutenant Colonel Phil Corso, who's no longer, he died in 98. The book came out in 96. So he wrote it at the very end of his life because I guess he couldn't really do it otherwise. He was in charge of the Roswell file.
Okay.
The Nut File, they called it, for the Army Research and Development. Under this guy, General Trudeau was his boss at the Pentagon.
Okay.
And so he's just laying out in plain sight all of the information about the UFOs, the alien bodies. He saw them, and that was 71 years ago.
Okay.
It was July 7th, I think, in 47 when the newspaper reported it. It's in that area. It's been like over 70 years since Roswell happened.
So the thing is you spend a good portion of your time going, no, I want this. I want all this.
And I also want to know, because for me, there's two things that change the world as we know it. In Paranormal Town, there's two major thoroughfares. One of them is UFOs, aliens,
right?
And the other one is ghosts, life after death.
Okay.
Because if we know that we're part of a large intergalactic neighborhood, which I truly believe we are,
right? It seems weird that we'd be the only ones.
Yeah, and if you add to that, death as we know it isn't real. That our consciousness, our energy, our soul, whatever people want to call it, continues on after this physical form is gone. That changes everything from the top to the very bottom of the way we live.
Okay.
In everything. Knowing that we're not alone and that we don't die. I mean, that's like, those are the two, what two bigger things can there be to transform the reality of our existence?
But how does it affect going to breakfast? I mean, does it? I mean, the thing is you're right. You're right. Those are so big, and so it would be amazing to have proof of that.
You know how I think it affects going to breakfast?
How?
People who run or people who work in restaurants, are like, I'm not working here anymore.
Get your own fucking breakfast.
Right? Get your own fucking breakfast is right, because guess what? Death isn't real. We're not alone. Why am I working a bullshit job to buy shit I don't need?
Right.
Right? It's like that old thing. But I think it changes everyone's mentality of like, why are we here? What are we doing here? And I think once we realize that we don't die, that question becomes paramount in our own minds. Like, what am I doing here?
Have you ever read any Ian M. Banks?
I don't think I have.
He wrote this thing. I'm forgetting the name of the world. It's a science fiction. It's very science fiction-y. I'll show you one of the books. Player of Games was the first one I read, and it's about a world 500 million, whatever. It's very much in the future, and it is a universe where there is, of course, an empire, and everything has been solved, and there is no death, and there is no poverty. And so everyone spends their time doing exactly what they want. And this guy, the guy that this is about, he plays games. He's a game player. He's very, very good at it. And so the government wants to. But the thing is there are machines that souls go into. There are machines that are sentient, and there is still the same questions. What do I do with my life? Like, what do I do with my life if I'm an immortal? And what do I do with my life? And if there are if UFOs are, if there are aliens, and I genuinely believe, how can there not be? There's too many things hanging in the sky for us to be the only ones. It's a very simple argument. It really resonated with me.
And it's like beyond the shadow of a doubt that there's UFOs, and there have been. The evidence for that is overwhelming to the point where it's almost like you're being crazy to
flat
deny.
earther to deny that there is other. But the weird thing is what Stephen Hawking said about aliens is that if they decided to show themselves to us, the best case scenario would be that they would want us as pets. The worst case scenario would be that they would want us as food.
And I hate to disagree with the smartest man who was alive, allegedly.
But he's dead now.
He's dead now. I don't agree with that at all.
You don't?
I totally disagree with that. I think if someone is advanced, or and maybe this is me being too new age woo, and it could be.
Could be.
If a species of living creature is advanced enough to travel through space and time, they've been around a lot longer than us, I think.
Right.
Therefore, I think they've overcome that aspect of
conquering.
Like, first of all, they wouldn't have. I don't think they'd have companion pets at all. I think companion pets would be like, and I think, and I don't get mad at people.
This is another hour.
I don't get mad at people who have dogs or cats or anything like that, or lizards, because I want a lizard, but I'm just never going to get one probably. But
ours just passed.
Oh,
very sad.
Oh,
Tiberius,
yeah.
23.
What kind of lizard?
Iguana, 23 years old.
I wanted
beautiful.
to get a monitor lizard because I heard you could like train them to a certain, like where you could like take them on walks like a leash, like a dog. They get so big.
We used to. Andy had Tiberius on a leash for a while. He was 3.5 feet long.
Wow.
He was. Boy, did Tiberius hate that leash. He was like, "But I'm not moving fast. What? Why do you think you have to leash me?" Even when he would run, like sometimes, very rarely, he would get angry. And he would charge with his mouth open, very slow. It's like watching someone run at you with a knife across a football field, where you're like, "I'm going to go get a hot dog. I'll be right back." Oh my God, he's still running at me.
Oh, he's still coming.
Yeah. And then, cause the one time that he did it, that I was like, "What the hell is happening?" I just put I was working on the garden, and I just put the shovel in front of my foot, and Tiberius got to the shovel, and he goes, "Well, thank God she's gone." He wasn't very bright. He was very sweet, but he was not bright. Anyway, so you don't mind people.
I don't mind at all people, because I want a dog again at some point, probably myself. But
you don't think that an advanced
aliens
society
who travel through space and time, I think they'll be beyond companion pets. I don't think they'd be like, they wouldn't have our system of living to a degree. I think that's the problem. We frame aliens like thinking like, well, what would we do?
Right.
Or it's like, but that's no. We like, if birds or rabbits or cats or dogs were in charge of the earth, guess what? Climate change wouldn't be happening. We think we're so much smarter than everybody else. It's because we defined what smart was.
Right.
Right. So it's a fixed game, and a really intelligent creature wouldn't destroy its own environment for profit.
Which is why I think Stephen Hawking thought that they would just murder us, because we're clearly a pest. We're like mosquitoes. Yeah. And he'd be like, "Well, we'll keep a couple hundred of them because they're cute."
I think for me, it would be, we've been kind of like, I don't want to say, I'm not like a conspiracy guy anymore.
Okay.
When I was younger,
were you?
I used to get into that stuff a lot.
Oh, wow.
But it's just a dark tunnel. It's a rabbit hole where someone's trying to sell you a bunker at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's very likely. I mean, many people claim to have contact with aliens currently,
right?
And it's all about like evolving into a higher vibration and all this kind of like wooey stuff, and no one's ever been abducted by aliens and come back and said, the aliens told me that I should work harder. The aliens abducted me and asked me why I didn't have a 401k. You know what I mean? It's always like, no, you need to love more.
Yeah.
Your species needs to move past war. Mm-hmm. It's like I've never heard an abductee or a contactee be like, the aliens.
You've read some stuff.
Yeah. And so and I'm a member of UPARS, which is the UFO Paranormal and Research Society of Los Angeles. They get together once a month in
what are the fees?
Studio City.
$35?
$20 to be a member for the whole year.
There you go. $20
and then it's
a
like
year.
$10 to listen to a speaker every month.
Right. Then you just go to an IHOP.
Yeah.
And somebody speaks.
So I think aliens, I don't think they would, farm
You don't think
us.
they'd be like that?
Obviously, I can't speak on behalf of species that may or may not exist. And like how they'd be. But I think we've been trained by movies and television to freak out.
Yeah.
Because the argument Corso lays out in the book, Day After Roswell, because to me it's a human rights issue. It's one of the number one human rights issues out there, that if our government, which I believe is in contact with aliens and has been, and that they're not telling us, like they don't get that information to keep it to themselves.
Okay.
To me, that's BS.
Okay.
You can't keep that from everyone. We all have a right to know. But people will all freak out. War of the Worlds when it came on the radio. Well, guess what? No one knew that was coming on the radio.
There's plenty of other things that I don't know about that I'm just like, well, I wish you would stop doing that as well.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, and so sure, some people might freak out if they if Obama would have come on and said there's aliens, we're in contact, blah blah blah. There might have been some of that, but we've been trained through all these movies and television, all this stuff, to be told, well, they can't tell us, they're keeping it from us because it's for our own good. Like to me, that's some real bullshit.
You don't need you don't need babysitting. You're a grown up man.
Yeah, and I think everyone deserves to know. That's not like a private club that gets to know this information.
Well, it would be. I mean, if they have the information, it would be great if they just told us. But it is one of the things that I'm not sweating, because it's not my dorkdom, right? Because it's not. It's like.
And you can get lost and go to like a real dark place. And I have to be careful because, I have to keep my sense of humor about anything.
Right.
Or you just sound like a jerk.
Well, yeah. And that is one of the things I like about you and Karen Rotowski. You're just like, though it does make me laugh when Karen says, I know you don't want to believe in ghosts because you're scared. And I'm like, no, I'm not scared. I'm actually not scared. I'm unmoved.
And to be honest, it can be scary doing these investigations.
Well, you know what? You know what's scary? Being in the woods at night alone in the dark. That sounds a little scary all by itself.
That's terrifying. I'm going to interview a woman in Lake Arrowhead.
Yeah,
who is suing the state of California.
Okay.
Because they're not posting Bigfoot warning signs at state parks.
What's the name of your podcast?
Me and Paranormal You.
And where's that's
it's everywhere.
When is that? It's in all the places. This
interview is coming up. Hopefully, I'll have talked to her by the time. I don't know if it'll be out or not yet. We still haven't scheduled.
But check at Rai Singh, RYSI. We're at an hour, by the way.
Oh, okay.
It's at Rai Singh on Twitter and Instagram, and see if, because that sounds awesome.
Because she saw one by her house.
Why?
So she's like, why are they not warning people of this thing?
There's deer signs.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't there be Bigfoot signs?
So, and some people like think this is pretty funny, and it is funny. And I'm into the Bigfoot thing, but my buddy Alex, who's like he's a cryptozoologist kind of guy.
He likes a puzzle. What's that?
Or he likes cryptids.
What's that?
Like Bigfoot's a cryptid. Chupacabra's a cryptid.
What's a
cryptid is an animal that is yet to be like scientifically proven that it exists, or it's an animal that appears in a place where it has no reason being.
Loch Ness.
Like Loch Ness is a cryptid.
Okay.
So, like the New Jersey Devil would be a cryptid. Mothman's a cryptid.
Mothman, Rontowski's Mothman episode, one of the greatest episodes in the world.
She's great about that.
I am sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
But we are.
We gotta go. We gotta go.
Now you're like, oh, we could keep talking, and people should definitely listen to the Paranormal, the Ryan Singer. Okay, what's it? What's the name of the podcast?
Me and Paranormal You.
Thank you, and it's RyanSingerComedy.com.
Yep.
And the new album is Free Love.
Free for everybody.
Free for everybody. But it's called Free Love, and just go to Amazon and then listen to it on Spotify and all the places, and listen to his podcast and see him do stand up, because alone the milkshake bit Alone, which I'm sure is on the last album.
Yeah, it's on this new one, actually.
Oh, is it on the new album?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys, you got to listen to that joke because it's a real good one. It's one of my favorites.
Oh, well, thank you.
Anyway, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, this was fun.
All right. And Rangers, you know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?